The United States Army missile Nike Ajax was the first operational surface-to-air guided missile deployed by the United States and represented a major technological leap during the early years of the Cold War. Developed in response to the increasing threat of high-speed, high-altitude Soviet bombers, the missile was a product of the U.S. Army Ordnance Corps in collaboration with Bell Laboratories and Western Electric. The project began in the 1940s under the codename Project Nike, and Nike Ajax entered service in the mid-1950s as the world's first effective long-range air defense missile system. The design of Nike Ajax reflected the engineering challenges of its time. It was a two-stage missile that used a solid fuel booster for initial launch and a liquid fuel sustainer for powered flight. The missile measured approximately 34 feet in length and weighed about 2,500 pounds at launch. Its booster generated enough thrust to propel the missile into the sky at supersonic speeds, after which the sustainer engine maintained flight toward the target. The missile had a maximum range of around 25 miles and an operational ceiling of about 70,000 feet, making it capable of engaging bombers flying at high altitudes and fast speeds. Nike Ajax carried 3 separate high-explosive fragmentation warheads located in the nose, center, and tail of the missile. This arrangement increased the probability of destroying an enemy bomber, since the warheads would scatter fragments across a wide area. The missile relied on ground-based radar guidance, with a sophisticated system of acquisition and tracking radars to detect incoming aircraft. Data from these radars were processed by an analog computer, which calculated intercept trajectories and sent commands to the missile during flight. This system allowed the missile to adjust its course and home in on targets with a high degree of accuracy for its era. The deployment of Nike Ajax transformed U.S. continental air defense strategy. Batteries of Nike Ajax missiles were placed around major cities, industrial centers, and strategic military installations across the United States. They formed a protective ring intended to stop Soviet bombers before they could reach their targets. These missile sites included radar stations, underground magazines, and above-ground launch areas, often manned by Army units trained specifically for air defense operations. At the height of its deployment, hundreds of Nike Ajax sites were operational, giving the United States a significant defensive network. Despite its groundbreaking role, Nike Ajax had several limitations. The use of liquid fuel for the sustainer engine created logistical and safety challenges, as the fuel was volatile and required careful handling. The missile also had relatively limited range compared to later systems, which meant many sites had to be built close together to ensure coverage. Furthermore, Nike Ajax was designed primarily against manned bomber threats, and as technology evolved, newer threats like ballistic missiles emerged, against which Nike Ajax had no capability. By the late 1950s, technological advancements led to the development of an improved version known as Nike Hercules. Nike Hercules had greater range, altitude, and destructive power, including the ability to carry nuclear warheads. As a result, Nike Ajax began to be phased out in favor of its successor, and by the early 1960s most Ajax batteries in the United States had been replaced. However, Nike Ajax missiles continued to serve in Allied countries for some years after their retirement in the U.S. The legacy of Nike Ajax lies in its pioneering role as the first operational guided surface-to-air missile system. It marked the transition from anti-aircraft artillery to missile-based air defense and demonstrated the feasibility of radar-guided missile interception. Although it had a relatively short operational lifespan, its development provided essential lessons that shaped subsequent generations of air defense systems. Nike Ajax stands as a symbol of the Cold War era's intense technological race and the urgency with which the United States sought to defend its skies against emerging threats.